I tried one time.
Salad.
I think this really derailed me, right? So one day, because one of my sisters is a vegan. She's been vegan for years now. And so I know she'd be tired of me because I'd be like, sis, what about this? And how do you do this? And how do you get past this? And she'd be like, I'm so tired of her asking me about this. I know she'd be tired of me, but I really be genuinely interested. I be trying to understand so I can like my blah, blah, blah. I could wrap my mind around it. And so I wanted some spaghetti. So I was like, okay, this should be the easiest meal I could make to kind of get my feet wet. With
girl, come kick it with me first.
I'm trying to
slide now. Girl, we be
hold on now.
Button up.
Let me tell you though. So I thought I was done on the road. I asked her, I said, I want to try to make a vegan spaghetti. What should I get? So she told me what to get, and I went and got, said things and browned up the it's not ground beef, but the plant-based ground beef, the meat. And I was like, ooh, I'm starting to feel pretty confident about this. Okay, this looking like it's gonna be good. And I started getting a little excited. Girl, I went and put a whole plate full of this vegan spaghetti on and spit it out and end up throwing a whole pot in the garbage. I was like, this
See, what you put in there?
I use the ground crumbles.
What then?
It had a green packaging, green label on. I think it's with a G.
Gardein.
Yes, that one. I used that, and I did not like it. I did not.
I'm sending you stuff currently.
Go send on, because I was like, this is
currently sending you some stuff.
This is nasty. And
if y'all hear a ding, know that this is what I'm doing. Shout out to my girl DC Can Cook. She was at the Millennium Tour. She was Omarion's private vegan chef.
All right.
Okay. So we doing a business highlight at the top of the show today.
Okay.
But she did our Healing Academy, the Healing Fair as well, and so she had vegan tacos. You just gotta find the right substitutes if you're gonna do substitutes, to really give you that vibe.
I've been really curious about trying jackfruit. So
jackfruit is legit.
I've been looking at recipes for jackfruit. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna seriously consider trying to make some jackfruit like tacos.
I'm gonna send you some YouTube links too of some vegan chefs that I look at, and they be slapping. You ain't need the food look like this.
I'm definitely going.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not the healthiest vegan food. It's junk vegan food, fried vegan chicken, and all of that good jazz. But if you're looking scrumptious, and sometimes when you transitioning, you need that to get you over.
But also, I hear a lot of people using mushrooms for meat substitutes for stuff. And you know how I feel about those.
All I use for meat substitute is mushrooms and walnuts.
I'm not eating earth boogers. The earth's boogers.
No, they're not. First of all, mushroom is older than people darn near. Okay, those things
they look and taste like it.
And everything. Do you know reishi mushrooms is like one of the only things on the planet that can grow back dead brain cells?
That sounds amazing.
Mushrooms are winning out here.
Can it grow dead brain cells in my belly?
No, but it needs some nutrients down there. You feel me?
I feel you, but I just can't. I'm sorry. Like they taste like they've been here forever, and it's the consistency for me.
You gotta season them right, girl. I'm gonna eat these oyster mushrooms right after I come off this computer.
It's something about the texture. I literally feel like
ones have different texture.
I don't want it. I don't want
It's
it. Just some
different
thoughts.
textures. There's like a billion different kinds. You got to see which one you might like. Because I didn't like mushrooms initially, but then I went vegan and like,
Well,
oh
you
my,
can have my earth boogers. You can have mine.
thank you. Please slide them over to my plate, especially if they oyster mushrooms, especially if they're fried,
Those
sauteed,
look
or anywhere
weird.
else
I
oyster
just,
mushrooms come through.
yeah. Maybe once I grow up, I'll appreciate them. But right now,
Somebody once I grow up.
I'm still like not interested, like at all, like not even a little bit. No, but I do want to do better. I want to do better,
I got
and
you, sis. We're
I'm
gonna have to
I
keep you.
love fried cauliflower. Love it.
Fried mushrooms is even better.
Yeah. No earth boogers. No, thank you.
Fried oyster mushrooms
No,
is
thank
where
you.
it's at.
You can have mine. I don't want
Yes,
it.
you looking real cute in them glasses,
Thank you. Well, honestly, I can't see today. See, I have eye fatigue. So when I'm tired from looking at screens all day, like everything's a big blur. And I was trying to look
You
at
got
these
the blue light
comments.
reflectors.
I do in my glasses. Yep, in my lenses. And I was like looking at the comments in the box over here, and I'm like, I can't see none of that. It just looked a whole mess. So I had to text the producer, like, hey, yo, I need my glasses. So,
Produce the
and
man.
girl, I really need new glasses because, okay, y'all ain't gonna judge me before we get started. First and
Hey,
foremost,
Siobhan.
I need your promise. Hey, boo, I meant to say that I got all sidetracked, but y'all got to promise not to judge me about my glasses. Okay, I'm about to show y'all something. The mister tried to help me out. Okay, y'all ready? Y'all paying attention? Yeah. Yeah. They hanging on barely. We kind of we rigged them a little bit so they do what they do. And I'm just avoiding going to the eye doctor.
How you rig them back together?
That's the mister. He got some little, it's a little screw in there. It ain't the right screw. But we working with something. They stay on, kind of.
Bruh, you probably can't see, man, but right up in the whatever camera at, right
I
up and through here,
see. I see.
right? That's super glue, honey.
Listen, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do.
Listen, that's some super glue, good old super
Sometimes you just
glue.
gotta do what you gotta do.
I
We
didn't.
gonna
This is the
stop
second
talking about
time
these
I had super
glasses,
glue.
sis. We gonna stop talking about these glasses and we gonna hop on in. Hello. Hey y'all, welcome. So happy to see y'all. Thank y'all
How
for
vegan
joining.
conversation is how we started this show today.
We
Did you hear
started
what
on
just
talking
happened?
about vegan
But did you
food.
know that this month is World Vegan Month?
I did not. No,
It is.
I didn't know. Yeah. Well, congrats or happy vegan
We
awareness
turn
month.
all month long. We turn all
Is
the
it called vegan awareness month or
vegan all over the world. We
okay?
lit.
All right. Well, shout out to all y'all. I still like bacon. We were just talking about it before y'all came. I still like bacon. Like that's the only
That's how this
thing.
conversation started.
That's how I started. Was like I still like I think I'm kind of getting my way there, but I still like bacon. I still like bacon. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I see somebody that feel me. You can't eat a burger without bacon. Yes.
I don't eat burgers, so thus I can eat it without
Well,
bacon.
that's okay. You can have my earth boogers,
Yes,
aka
I'm gonna eat
mushrooms, and
all
I
the
can take your
mushrooms.
bacon.
I'll take the black bean burgers, lentil burgers, veggie burgers.
Natalie is missing out. Facts, because bacon is that deal.
I
Bacon
miss
is that
it.
deal. Yes. Well, welcome, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us. We
She
started
is
out
looking
talking
good,
about
ain't she?
vegan stuff. Oh, thank you. They say Sante looking good. I don't know who you are, but I appreciate
You
you.
kill, you
Thank
kill.
you.
Ow.
Oh, see, here he go. I'm not from the US. Oh God, here we go. Look, if you ain't here for the show, don't be starting nothing else. It's all about the show today. Well, let's talk about the topic. So first and foremost, I wanted to do something else, but for today. But then I started seeing all of this chatter in the, on the internets about um, the baby and Danny Lee. And in all honesty, I barely know who the baby is. That's how old I am. But I darn sure didn't have a clue who Danny Lee
You
was.
talking about the rapper, the baby?
Right. See,
Okay.
right, the rapper, the baby. But
Mm-hmm.
his girlfriend, I hate the term baby mama, but his girlfriend, baby mama,
Mal,
um,
baby mama. They've been
was
dating for a long time, all right?
his baby mama and he got, I guess, into some discrepancy or some issue, and yeah, so it was all over everything. And because I'm old and I don't know a whole lot about the new artists, I had no idea who Danny Lee was. So I had to actually ask and Google and figure it out because I was kind of, it was over my head. But there was a lot of chatter about it, where in different types of groups and forums that I'm in, people were dragging her, talking about this is karma and why she, even decided to deal with him, just, all of that stuff. And so I thought, you know what? This is actually a really important topic, and it's a generational curse that we don't talk about, and why we as women, especially as Black women, sometimes may still go for that person that we know has a history of not treating other women fairly, and why they go for that guy. And so I wanted to talk about it today because I feel like it's so easy to laugh at her and comment on the fact that she is getting her karma, which again, I don't know all the stories, so I don't know if it's her karma or not. But I guess I kind of, hear what people saying and where they're going with that. But on the same note, it's like, come on now. We have to understand like why someone may be repeatedly doing the stuff that they're doing. And this actually is a generational curse. It goes back to things that we're told, that we're programmed to believe as women from very, very little, and how it can absolutely get in the way of making a better judgment and taking somebody at their actions and seeing that, yeah, this could happen to you. I think a lot of us think we're going to be that exception to a broken person. And nah, you just gonna be the next one on the list to be
That's
broken.
first of all, that mentality. Okay, before I say what I'm about to say, because that could be taken. Some people might have got mad at me. So let me say this first.
Okay, go on, give a
What?
disclaimer.
Oh, the disclaimer, sis. Okay, so first, with the thing with the baby and the girl, what's her name? We know her name. What's her name?
Danny Lee.
Danny Lee. So I know she's
Mm-hmm.
a singer.
Mm-hmm.
I think she sings a song with Chris Brown. Are like, let me catch a vibe. I think she sang that song.
Right.
And then the baby got a couple bops. Okay, literally he got the song. I like some was a bop in it. Bop, 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 bop. All right, these guys. So first of all, we need to stay up out of celebrities' relationships and start. We got to stop. That's my first point. We got to
Fact.
stop. Let them live their life, mistakes and all, because they're human. Just like we are human out here jacking up relationships, they are human out here jacking up relationships. They are human with money out here jacking up relationships with people all up in their business. Okay, so let's stop having commentary on their relationships, acting like we know end all, because we don't. We're not there. We're not in that situation. We're not in their relationship. Just like people in your community or your friends or your families, we're not in that relationship. Let's just not. Two, there was some drama with her in the past. I'm not really up on all the tea either, but there was some drama with her in the past because she said something about Black women because she's Hispanic or something, and Black women was not having it. Okay, they weren't having it, and I guess she felt like because she's Latino, like she could say something, but nobody was for it. Again, I don't have all the tea on that, but that's the only past tense I know about them. I think she said something about dark skin. She said something that was out of line, and people was like at her head. Now, all I know about this current situation, I seen a bit of it after I saw that we were going to talk about it today, and I saw that she posted a post which was like, what seemingly to be a sweet like recap video of their relationship with dates and pictures and such, and then being all cutesy and living their best life, and then ultrasound picture with her saying he left right after finding out she was pregnant. That's all I know of that situation. But overall, let's not say let's not say karma because we don't know, guys. Let's not blame the one man who got left. Yeah, we
Mm.
all got to take responsibility. Yeah, he doesn't seem, because I don't know him again. I don't know the man personally. He doesn't seem to be a upstanding, wholesome, I'ma love you forever and wife you up type of guy.
Yeah, I mean, he said some pretty already some very toxic things that you know would be a red flag. And then I also understand that he's mistreated other his other children or child's mom or how like
Yeah,
I
no the
said,
daughter.
I don't know a whole lot about all of this stuff because I have come to the conclusion that I'm actually old and this is like not in my time. So I stick to my 90s R&B, my Wu-Tang forever. I stick to what I know. So, I'm still
Listen.
I don't really
But what I'm
understand.
saying, I said all that to say, like, when it comes to judging a woman who is being mistreated, there's
Mhm.
levels to it. And this is going to the subject matter of the show. There's levels to it for a few different reasons. One, yes, the world can probably see red flags. Again, we're not in that relationship. We're also judging him based off of face value things that we do get a chance to see. Those things aren't always the most pleasant. And so moving into relationships, women, our responsibility is to make sure that we do so many different things that we talk about here at We Gon Talk, which is establishing non-negotiables, loving ourselves first and knowing what we want and what we don't want, so that when we see these red flags, we get out the gym immediately, okay, as soon as
But
possible, so it
pause
doesn't
there, sis. So I'm here willing to argue that it's not even just about self-love. Sometimes I think that can actually be the thing that gets us in trouble. And the reason why the show
happen.
title is "You Aren't the Exception, Sis" is because I think from very young we hear as young girls that a man is going to do for the right woman this, that,
You
and
think
the
it's an
third.
overconfidence?
Yeah, and that
Okay.
I feel like a lot of the time what happens is feeling like I am better or I am different and I'm coming with this and making this assumption that you are different or you are better or you are above the last one, when really a lot of the time, most of the time, it's that person. It doesn't have anything to do with the ex all the time. It's just easy to spin it that way. The person that is causing the injury is gonna always say, "No, it wasn't me. It was because she did this, this, and this." And so, not actually paying attention to that person's character and how they treat others is important, but having this mentality that you're going to be the exception to that because something about you
But I
separates you.
beg to differ this. I take it back to the self-love piece when it comes to, I agree with you though. I
Mhm.
wholeheartedly agree with what you said. We gotta stop that foolishness. We ain't changing nobody except our
Period.
children. It's diapers. Okay. And we can't change their personality traits neither. Okay.
Period.
Nobody's gonna change until they're ready to change. But this is my thing, going back to the self-love piece. If you truly loved yourself enough, like for real enough, and knew that you were worthy enough and deserved more, then you wouldn't dare allow the foolishness. If I loved myself and held myself to a higher standard, for real, I'm not going to allow a man who's going to talk to me any kind of way, who's out here in these streets, who's doing stuff with other people and all types of foolishness, and try to change him, because you need to be stepping up to my level. I'm not finna go try to heal wounds and do all of this other stuff because I love me too much and ain't nobody got time for that. Not saying that you can't help somebody, or in a relationship it's gonna be give and take. Nobody's perfect, but you can't heal nobody, just like you can't change nobody. That's work they have to do on their own. And so I feel like if you truly love yourself enough, you're not even going to put yourself in that situation. Now, I'm not still not putting the blame on her, because clearly there was some things, some traumatic things along the lines that allowed her to believe that being in this toxic relationship was acceptable. And those are the things that she needs to heal from. Instead of coming for her or coming for any woman, and I know about every woman darn near on this planet that been in a relationship with a man wishing, hoping, coulda, woulda, shouldn't, that he changed. If you ain't, please raise a hand and let's interview you.
But
But I'm
pause
pretty
though,
sure that's
sis.
every woman.
I don't even think that that was the issue. So from what I gathered from trying to do my research and understand, I really believe, especially after you also just brought up the point that this young lady went into this thinking that she was going to be different. It was something about her that made her better than the last. And this may, I don't know if it is or not, but not all the time is it habitual in the beginning. So it's not all the time that this person is coming out the gate acting the way he treated the person before, until you give him a reason to, or he's tired and he feels like it's okay, I can go ahead and show her who I am now. I feel like the problem is going into it thinking you're going to be different than the last woman when it's the man, it's the person,
It's him. He's the
it's
problem.
him. And if you can see red flags in how he treats other people that has
Including his
has
mama. We
his
also have to
mom,
take note on how these men treat their mama and they
that
women in their
they're,
life.
but not even just that, because I can argue with you about how that can be a situation too, where we shouldn't be placing so much standard, because I don't want to be treated like your mama. I ain't your mama. I don't want to be
I'm
treated.
just saying, if he can disrespect his mama, he ain't gonna have no problem disrespecting you.
But if he can disrespect the mother of his child, if he can disrespect women, other women, and not have a problem with it and have a daughter, then what makes you think you're so different? If the example and the life he can breathe into his own child, because I believe he has a daughter with Danny Lee, and I
Yeah.
think he has a other daughter as well. If he can
Wait,
be,
is the baby like a baby? I thought it was
it's like
just
a baby,
like they she didn't had a baby.
it appears that way.
Oh, I'm real like that. I just saw an ultrasound picture.
Oh no, they have a baby, and from what I understand, he put her and the baby out. And I'm not laughing. I gotta laugh to keep from crying, but it's like
Because it's foolishness.
it's
Now down here, Siobhan, you seem like you got more tea than we do in the
fact.
comments. Sis, please spill some more tea so we can understand this full picture. See what Russia is referencing to is what I was talking about earlier, about how she was talking about dark skinned black women, and she talking about yellow bones, what do you want, like she a light skinned black woman and she's Latina or something like that, and black women wasn't having that, rightfully so, in my opinion.
But but even that, even that, again, it goes back to somebody telling this poor child that that made her better, and that that was going to be enough to inspire a man to be any different than what he's been before, to any other woman he's been with before. And I want us to unlearn that. I want us to unlearn the narrative that if you fit this, if you this woman and that woman, a man's going to change for you. No, he's not. No one's ever going to change for you.
Absolutely not.
That's not the way that change happens. So if a man changes, he changes because he chooses to, and he sees value in that change. If you factor into that value, that's different, but he's changing for himself, even in if it's to hopefully keep you or keep up with you. But he is who he is. He is who he is. And yes, to an extent, what we allow someone will do, but we have to stop going into a very already messed up situation and having encounters with very obviously messed up people and thinking that we're going to be so much more amazing than any other person, that this person is going to be different than what's natural to them.
I
This
feel
is
like we
natural.
gotta get to like the meat of this, even like taking it outside of the baby and Miss
Period.
Lee, Miss Lee situation. I think that is a perfect, really prevalent example of the foolishness. But we got to be real with ourselves. We coming at her real hard, like y'all ain't doing this in y'all everyday life. Now I ain't coming for nobody, and I ain't reading nobody's story. But I'm telling you, I see it in your
I
everyday life.
feel like I feel like it was more so frustration at the fact of whatever comment she had made previously about Black women, where
But
it
see, that's
made.
my thing. Regardless of that or not, the fact is we keep allowing these men to walk away from situations like nothing happened, and we penalize the women who are being mistreated, whether she's black or otherwise, or whatever she said or whatever her song said. My thing is, yes, she made that decision to be with him. Yes, she knew he was toxic. Yes, she stayed if he said go and all this other stuff. That still does not give him the right to act behind. I was gonna
And no
say
one's giving him a pass on that. I think you misunderstand. I don't think anyone's giving him a pass on that, even with the fact that
I
that
think the notion is she grown, she knew better, she shouldn't have been with
I
him,
don't
which
think
is
that that's
right.
the notion. I think the notion, based on what I read, is that she erroneously thought that she was better. And I think that happens
Absolutely.
a lot more than we're willing to talk about. I think a lot of times women get into situations where there's obvious like signs that this is who they are, with the expectation or the thought that they are in some way are going to get a different result from the same person. And you're
No,
not.
I'm agreeing with you, sis, on that one. What I'm saying, I was building up to the fact that we always come for the women. We always come for the women. I mean, look at rape culture and everything else. We always come for the women. And men get to do whatever they gonna do. Not again, not saying that she is not grown and she did not see them flags and she still decided to be there, but what led that to happen? Y'all know my favorite saying, but why? You know,
And
she had some
that's the
trauma and
whole
some
point that
things.
I'm getting to. It is
Right.
that I feel
That's what
that
I'm
it's
agreeing
more
with.
than it's a very generational thing. I think we are taught very young as women that it's our job to ride or die, that if we are or we meet a certain standard that a man will do or this or that and third, that we're different. We are taught to be against each other. And so if one woman comes into some man's life and she gets treated a certain way, it's because something she did wrong, and not the fact that it was him, which was what my point is that she made the error of going in with this man and thinking
Mhm.
she was going to be different when he already has a history of
Absolutely.
maltreatment. And so I need us to be accountable for that part, and recognizing that if he's treating your sister, girlfriend, cousin a particular way, we shouldn't want no parts in any man that feels comfort in being able to treat any woman like that. I would not want to have anything to do with any man that I have seen him mistreat, him degrade, him devalue another woman he's been with.
Absolutely.
Period. If he drug her through the dirt, then you should not want to be with anyone that feels comfortable in dragging anyone in
But
the
see,
dirt.
that's a part of the generational curse too, because it's always been, again, going back to rape culture and everything else, boys will be boys and men can be allowed to do whatever they would like, and women have to be the one to whatever. And it's the same notion, and that's the same reason why it's still happening. And then again, women have to hold themselves accountable, and I truly believe that it's coming to love yourself enough to know that you don't deserve that, and that we don't have, because we had this conversation before on here about how we don't have, how long we gotta wait, how long we gotta bear with the guy, fix the guy, try to mend with the guy, be with the guy until he get it right when we dying. Talking about, I don't want to be a ride or die, I want to live, like, you know what I'm saying?
Period.
Like,
Period.
and I think that's that same notion. If you're going into it knowing that he's fool, knowing that he's playing with other women, knowing that he treated other women poorly, knowing all of these things, that's what I'm saying. I've been agreeing with you the whole time. If you go into it knowing that, then you are putting yourself at a disadvantage. And if you loved yourself enough, truly, you knew that you would know that you don't deserve that, even if you, all the air quotes,
That's the thing,
think
bro. But that's the
that
thing,
you can
sis.
change
I
him.
genuinely believe in my
You
spirit that a lot of women don't think that way. They don't think it's him. They think it's the other person. They think it's whomever he left with. If that woman got drugged and she was mistreated, it was because it was her and not looking at the person. Russia just made a comment about he treats women exactly like he says in his songs. And there was the writing on the wall. But I literally feel like a lot of women, not just her, this is a real thing that happens. And it's
Yeah,
a
that's
real
what I was saying
concern.
earlier. We got to stop acting like this is a rarity
It's
and like
not.
we ain't doing it in our communities every single
But
day. Half
more
the people
than
that's
just,
probably dragging her is in the same doggone relationship right now.
but I'm not even talking about that part in itself because I feel like that is only the result of this thing. I feel like the problem lies in going in with this expectation that you are going to get a different result from the same shit, and you're not. And that we need to
That's the
really
definition
take
of
people at
insanity.
it's insane, and that it's problematic that we are so willing to assume the worst in our fellow sisters and not recognize when it's right in front of us, it's the person. It is not her all the time. It sometimes now we have some women out here that can be doing some things. So don't
That's
get me
true.
wrong. But when you have someone that is the common denominator in situations, it's that person. It's them. And I think that it's a real error in judgment that we make sometimes and thinking we're going to be the exception because there's something so much more better about us when really it has nothing to do with the last woman and it has nothing to do with this current woman. It has everything to do with the man, with the person. And I want us to recognize that and stop putting ourselves in situations and looking at the bigger picture and recognizing that if he did it to baby mama three, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's like any woman who ever feels like they have the right mind enough to date Future. I'm like, what?
But
What is wrong with
exactly.
you?
So
What is wrong with you?
that you just hit. I was like, I feel like you read right out of my mind. It was like I was thinking it, and I must have telepathically like
You
said,
sent
"Say
it, sis, and
it."
I received it because I immediately was like, oh,
That's what it was, right? I mean, I
I
feel like,
felt it.
and that's why we needed to have this conversation because I feel like it's the same thing that we heard with the whole Future and Sierra thing. And when she realized, like, no, this isn't what I want. I'm gonna go and get better because this isn't what
And
I
shout out
want.
to her because
Exactly.
she realized she deserved better and she loved herself enough and she got it, honey.
And she realized also that it wasn't the other moms. It was
All
the
59
man.
of them. All 59 of them ain't lying.
Once she got in it, she realized like I can be all of these things. I can be all the right things, but it's never going to matter for the wrong man. It's never going to matter. No matter how spot on you are with doing things, no matter how worthy you are never going to be enough for the wrong person. Period. Ever.
You're never gonna be right for the wrong person. And that's the thing
Ever.
too. And even if it's not as severe as a Future or as the baby or anything like that, in small ways, this is what I'm saying. We have all been there. We have all been there. I personally have been there. That's why I could tell you it's crazy because I was crazy. Like we have all been there when we were allowing things and accepting things that we had absolutely no business accepting. And in that moment, not saying that's us today, but in that moment, if we truly loved ourselves enough, we would have walked away because that man or that woman or that whomever is not going to change. The only change
Oh,
that
wow.
needs to come out of that relationship is you changing and getting up out of that relationship.
Or recognizing the writing on the wall and not getting it in the first place because
Baby, check
it is
receipts at the
there.
door.
It is always there. And
Check
so
receipts.
for me, that is where because I love us. I love us so much. I really do. And I agree. All of us at some point have made a very wrong and painful error in judgment and believing that something about us is going to change the brokenness in somebody else.
Mm.
We cannot. I love to try to heal. The whole point of these conversations is try to facilitate healing, but I have this
Hmm.
much power in the process. I can just bring it there, but it's that saying, you can lead a horse to the water,
The
but you
water,
can't
but you
make
can't
them
make them
drink.
drink.
So
Absolutely.
I
So
can talk about these things, but ultimately, whatever changes, whatever movements forward, whatever progressions are made, is because or will be a result of the work someone chooses to do to make those changes. But it won't be because I talked about it. I'm hoping that I inspire you to think more deeply about certain
but
things.
you got to take those steps on your
But
own.
exactly. So I need for us as a collective, because I'm tired of seeing certain things happen to women. And then what happens is we end up, like to your point, everyone's attacking her. We end up attacking each other when the real problem is the learning, the programming, the things that
Yes,
are
because that's where I
happening
wanted to go.
before we even get to the dating process. And I
Yes.
know personally, growing up, hearing people say, not the right people, because I had some right people telling me, look, like my older brother, he was never having that. It was so important that for him
Was
that I
not for none.
understood. I mean, seriously, like I can remember being as young as maybe 10 or 11. I wasn't even really thinking about dating nobody, but having my brother say, you're never going to be able to change a man's mind on anything. If he changes, he's gonna do it because he wants to. If you are dating someone or you're dealing with someone and they're showing you something, understand either you're going to be able to tolerate it and stay in it, or you're gonna need to leave, because but it ain't ever gonna be the change because you made him. He's gonna do that because he chooses to. So don't go in thinking that you're too good to be duped. You are not. It was something that I heard so much growing up is don't stay in it. Like if somebody's not out like ultimately doing the work and cultivating themselves, I'm not gonna be able to do that. I'm not. I'm just not. And so when it came to that with certain things, I didn't want no parts in it, especially once I got old enough to understand. If I saw red flags, I didn't look at it no more than just whatever it was for the moment. And I feel like I'm not trying to excuse the behavior, but I need us to know the but why, as Nat always says. The but why is that we're taught from very little, we're programmed to believe that if we are chaste enough, if we are smart enough, if
If you
we are
cook enough, if you
if
clean
you
enough,
if you're clean enough, if you submissive enough,
come
if
on,
you
come
all
on.
of these things, a man is gonna do all of these things for you, but not if it ain't in him anyway. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be there. The seeds have to be there. And I am just
Because
supposed
some
to
of
be
these
the
men
water.
straight up don't know how. Because when we talk about the training and the conditioning, don't just stop at the women's training and
It's
conditioning. These men are being trained and conditioned to be the way that they are. And
all the
if
time.
not only from sometimes doggone their parents and their uncles and their friends and society and music and every doggone thing else, we also have to understand that if we, I'm gonna take a Liz Strata style on y'all, or Chirac if y'all saw that, okay? Uh, if women stopped allowing the BS, men would shift. Let's be 100% honest, ladies. Whether you identify with the play or even know what the heck I'm talking about or not, women hold a whole lot of power and clout when it comes to men. The way the tables are turned and the way society has it is that the men have the power in relationships when that is fugazi. Women hold the keys, and it's not a dynamic of like him against her, she against. It's not that. It's just being 100% honest. There's more women. Also, men will do, people, let me change this. People will do what you allow them to do. And if we held the men accountable, truly held them accountable, and not went for the okie doke, then they will get their stuff together, or they will be real lonely out here in these streets.
Here's the thing. When has there ever been a time that that's actually happened? Like, let's really honestly think about it. in our history, there has never really been a time that we collectively have held men to that standard. And a lot of it is because we didn't have the power. We had to survive. We had to do what was necessary to make it, because the way the world, the system was set up was that women didn't have certain rights. They didn't have the ability to do certain things. And so there were a whole lot of our grandmothers that were in relationships where they did not want to be in, but felt trapped because they didn't have a means of any other way. And then they had children and they were trying to do all of these things. So there's never been a time that we have been able to really hold them to that standard.
There's no time like the present.
But here's the thing. If
But we
we're
got to
going
get
to
through
do
the
that,
conditioning first.
if I was going to say, we have to unlearn a lot. We have to unlearn a whole lot of stuff. And one of the things that we have to unlearn is that
On both sides.
on both sides, but I'm just talking about, because to your point, that women hold the keys. Not if they don't know how to use them, because if they are still operating on a system of thinking that is part of the problem, we're just going to keep doing the hamster wheel. It's going to keep
Perpetuating the
running
problem.
over and over and over again. So until we honestly start doing some inward reflections, some unlearning of certain things, and some accountability, like, we are never going to be enough for the wrong person.
And
Period.
can we speak to what Russia said in the comments? Not only are you never going to be the right one for the wrong person, but the ego part.
It's a lot of ego. It's
I
a
think
lot.
it's ego on both sides. I
It's,
think it's ego for the man, but I also think for those women who are like, I can change him, I can do this, I'm not like these other women. It's a
or
whole lot of ego
I
on
was
their
going to
part
say,
too.
that was the whole point that I was bringing up about having this idea that you are the exception to a broken person, that you cannot
Have
change if
nothing to do
Libra
with it.
strike. Look, it's not going to change. If that person is who they are, you're not going to change them. People change because they choose to, and for no other reason whatsoever. Ultimately, you have to decide and agree with yourself. You're going to make the changes. But no matter what you do, if that person is not willing to, they're not going to. That's it. And it's not
Period.
always, it's not the other person. And I feel like that's part of the problem, is that we're so quick to automatically trash the woman before us and assume what we're being told is that, well, she wasn't you, which is the quickest way to make you completely look past the truth.
Absolutely, she sure like me.
So to play to the ego, right? To make you feel better
Exactly what
about
that
yourself.
is.
And it's a
You're
manipulation
right. She not
tactic.
you, but he's still him.
He's And that's my whole point. And that's what I want to address today, because I just want us to start giving
Or
ourselves the
for my
permission.
men folk that have been played out there, she's still her. Because some of these women be out here doing the same
They be
thing.
doing the same thing. They be doing the same thing. And we need to honestly be like so transparent with ourselves and truthful. Like, this person is who he is. If he's done it to the woman before you, and the woman before her, it's him. He's the common denominator. It's
I'm
him.
personally not even gonna test the theory.
I don't
Like,
even want, look,
don't even
that's
come
my
say
whole
hello
point.
to me. What do
I
you
don't even want it.
mean?
Like, I'm not gonna be interested. If I'm seeing and watching you treat other women that way, I'm not gonna even bother putting myself in the hat. I'm not gonna do it, because
Don't
I
even come say
know
to
I
me.
am humble enough and care about myself enough to know, I'm not going to be any different, because I'm not the factor in the first place. It's this person.
Come on.
Secondly, I don't have the effort or the time
The
or the
time.
willpower or the resilience or the desire to
Mm-mm.
try, because all that does is break me.
And you up hurt and in pieces in the end. And I agree with what's going on in the comments here is that what we kind of said before is that we have to raise young men to think differently, but we also have to raise young women to think differently. I think it really becomes, again, I'm going to keep going back to it, that self-love piece, and that I have the audacity to love me more than I could even possibly think about loving you if you're going to treat me this way. So let me not even try. Let me not even try this. And you see, men or women or whoever you look at it, you can think about it however you want. But you have to put yourself first. Me first movement. Y'all know that's my itch. Me first movement. And it's a journey that I'm starting on. It's a journey that I'm currently on because I didn't do it before. That's why I speak so passionately about it now. It's because I've been that. You know what I'm saying? And so at this point, we have to realize that if we don't put ourselves first, nobody else will. And we don't owe our time or anything to anyone.
So I agree.
That's the piece right there, though, sis.
I agree with you.
That's that ride or die thing where they're like, "Oh, if you really care about me, you'll stay." Oh, if you really.
I guess I look at those two a little bit different because I do think that
the two what, sis?
I look at it though. So how you were just saying that to put me first and prioritizing me and loving me and the ride or die complex that we're taught to have as women. I think they're two separate issues. And here's why I say that. I feel like as women, we are programmed that we are created to serve, right? So when you start out little, it's like women are nurturers and women are this and women are that. When really that can be anybody. That is not gender based. Nurturance is not gender based. It's really about environment and being taught. It's about social emotional intellect and being able to understand the importance of nurturance. And if you've seen it, then fathers can nurture too. It's not just a mother thing. It's not
those gender roles and norms are taught behavior.
They are.
My son got his little teddy bear and be like, "This is my baby. I'm gonna take care of my baby," and I'm like, "You better."
That's it. That part right there. And so I really feel like as little girls, society, in an effort to keep us in a place, tells us that you being a woman, this is in your nature. No, because that's when we have a woman that doesn't have that. Because there are some women out here that will tell you, like, I'm just not a nurturer. I don't have a nurturing spirit. I don't have a desire to be a mom. I don't want to do any of that stuff. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be affectionate. I don't want to be that stuff. So it's not something that we're automatically born with. We are taught those things. So I feel like when it comes to that, we need to understand how programming starts really little and that we need to start using different language when we're talking to our kids. And then what is good for this group needs to be good for this group. We focus a lot on girls and we
teaching the girls how to clean up with the little toy vacuums and all that. Then the boy needs to learn how to clean up too. And wash the dishes and play
how to clean up. We teach them how to cook. We teach them about conforming to certain things. When my son, he better know how to cook his own meal. And he gonna learn how to wash his own clothes. And he's gonna know how to take care of himself because he may be taking care of himself. And so he needs to know how to do those things because I'm not gonna do that.
No, he will be taking care of himself, period.
So I feel like we don't keep the same energy for both genders. We need to. But also, I feel like women are told. One of the things I heard a whole lot growing up is anytime there's a good man, behind every good man is a strong black woman. It's a strong woman. It's the woman behind the man, and this and that. And they almost glamorize this idea, right? That you want to be the woman behind the man. Because if a man is successful, they're gonna look at him and be able to tell that he got there because of you. It's a falsehood.
That's why you got all them women out here like the Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
Look, I'm trying to tell you.
Get to success and then they get kicked out.
And then you the woman behind the man and the man get tired and leave and you don't have anything. And that's a falsehood that we are told and we glamorize it, right? So now it's like, oh, I have to be. It's nothing like wanting to be the woman that when that man gets to that big successful point, he look out and he be like, I did it all because of my wife. It is not going to happen like and most of the time.
Especially when, like you said earlier, if he don't have those seeds already in him.
If they're not already there, you are going to be the soul that plants them. That should have came from home. Those seeds are planted. I tell my son all the time, it's super important that he knows this. As your mom, I'm planting the seeds. When you get older and have a wife, she'll just help you water them. That's it. I'm not going to, she shouldn't be planting the seeds. That's my job. So when you grow up and you're married, you should have all of these understandings, all of this stuff already. That's why I'm your mom. That's why you have a dad. Your wife is not responsible for that. And I want to make sure you
Women can't raise men
at all.
It's what they always say. And they say it primarily when talking about single mothers raising boys. But I'm saying it as far as grown women dating grown men, you should not be raising that man. You should not be clothing him, feeding him, giving him shelter, or anything else. Especially when he not treating you right and the way you deserve to be treated. We cannot parent a grown man. The things that need to be shifted are his to shift. That goes back to the whole topic of today, okay? You can't change that man. You ain't that different. And the thing is that's not that bad. I mean, most women may hear that and take it to heart and be a little upset about it. I am different. You are. You know what? Let me change my statement. You are different. But to him, and in this picture, you are not. Because it doesn't matter, again, how great you are for the wrong person.
I said what I said. Sis, you ain't the exception. You ain't the exception in this situation.
In this situation.
It's you ain't the exception.
It's not you to begin with.
You can be green and come from Venus and can fly. You can have superhero powers. You can glow in the dark. Technically, you look different from me, and you can do some different things than I can do. But he see you the same way. You still. If the problem is how he views
little booty, big booty, light skin, dark skin, white, black, Puerto Rican,
if the problem is how he sees women, you ain't different from that.
You're still a woman.
You ain't different from that. So sis, you ain't the exception, because the problem isn't necessarily in your skills as much as it is between your legs. He has a problem with women. It ain't gonna matter what type of woman it is. If he doesn't have the respect, if he doesn't understand the care, if he doesn't take that into consideration, it does not matter who or what you do or how you do it, because the problem is that you're still a woman. So you
can I stab off for a second real quick? It attaches, but I just need to say this.
Go ahead.
I just need every amazing, like splendiferous, respectful, caring, kind, considerate, working on yourself and your healing brother and woman out there to understand this is not bashing you. Because I know some people probably watching this like, oh, you're talking about all me. Nah, this ain't that.
Look, I love y'all. Quiet. Hold on, because I be quiet. I try to be really calm and sensitive and empathetic with my delivery on stuff, because I'm never trying to tear down anyone. But I am tired of this part. I am tired of us going in really lying to ourselves and helping this person pretty much lie and break us too. By convincing ourselves that we're the exception. We're not. And we just need to look at the person, and we need to take tally and take score of how he treat the other women and people and beings also, because not just women, any beings in his life. This goes for the same thing as your kids ain't gonna be different if this man has a habit of treating the rest of his children a particular way.
All them kids gonna be the same.
and he different when he with you, but just imagine when he not. He gonna get it. Give it to them the same way he gave the other ones. And we really need to take score of that when we're getting involved with people and holding people to their actions and using
I
it to
honestly feel
direct.
like we have to take serious note of these of healing before we get into a committed relationship. Not saying you got to be completely healed before you enter a relationship, because that's never a thing. You're gonna always be actively working towards your healing. But before you say me and you, we go together, we married or whatever, engaged or whomever, you and that person, whoever they may be, need to actively be working to heal the traumas that we all have. And this is why I say that.
You better be healed. You better be healed
That's
going
what I'm
into it.
saying. Like, both parties, before you enter a relationship, like a serious committed relationship, y'all both need to actively be working towards healing. I can't even talk to you if you ain't actively working towards your healing, because that's not where I'm going in life. And so we ain't gonna be compatible. Okay. And I'm telling from Jump Street, like, that's not where I'm at. And I'm gonna be okay with letting you know that's not where I'm at, and I'm gone. Because again, you take L's in life, you take lessons, and you learn from them, and you move accordingly. So hopefully now, little mama get her some healing. Going back to the baby and the young lady, hopefully she take this as a lesson and she actively work towards some healing so that she doesn't end up in a situation like this again and find a
And that
better
she
place.
recognizes, and that she recognizes.
That she recognizes the trauma and she heals
Wait,
it,
wait,
and she
wait. And that she recognizes that she's not the exception.
not. But see, that's the trauma. The trauma is
Not
her
the
thinking she was.
exception.
She's not the exception, and that's the thing. And so I feel like we all need to be out here single and understanding people and getting to know people and talking to people and talking to therapists and talking to ourselves and figuring stuff out until we before we get into a relationship. Because when you do that, I know a lot of people be trying to rush to titles and rush to kids and rush to marriage and rush to all these other things. But it's, to be honest, if you want something to last, you got to build it. And so if
Let
you're
me tell
not,
you something.
go ahead.
I shared this when we did our anniversary special, and I stand on it to this day. And it was probably one of the best things I did for both of us. Before I decided to go ahead and try to have an actual real relationship with Robert, I told him I am not ready. I am broken. My last relationship did some things. I
Mm-hmm.
have some stuff to repair. I have to figure it out, because the person that I am, based on all of this, is not the person you're going to love in the long run, because I don't like me like this. So I need
Mm.
to figure me out. I need to take a moment. And I know that he was frustrated at times because he felt like I was dragging him along. But for me, I felt that it was super important that I didn't take any of my baggage from that previous situation into
Mm-hmm.
that situation. That was paramount to me. That was super important, because that's not fair. Because I'd be damned if we get in a relationship and you holding me accountable for something the last person did. So I have to show up how I want you to show up. And
Exactly.
I am broken and I'm still trying to figure out these things and process and get past them. It is not fair for me to bring that into some situation and expect for you to heal me. You can't. And I understood that at a very,
Because you were not the exception to the
and
rule.
he wasn't either. As much as he was,
Right, that's what I was saying.
period. Like, I need to fix this. Either you're going to be patient with me, or we ain't meant to be anyway. And he was patient. It took a minute. And I knew at times he thought I was pulling his leg. I still was doing other things, but I was doing other things because that was safe for me and that person I was at that time. You
Mm-hmm.
were talking about you wanted to make sure that this went the distance. I wasn't the distance type of girl at that time, at that space, in that moment. I wasn't, because I had things I had to take tour of and heal from. I had to like suture myself seriously, because
Mm-hmm.
I had some things. I had some anger. I had some resentment. And one of the biggest things that I had to let go in moving forward was that I had to forgive myself, because a lot of the things that broke me in the previous situation I allowed because I had convinced myself of a lie. And it was like, okay, I need to let that go, and I need to
Mm.
forgive myself for that. I need to give myself the permission to say, okay, you made a mistake and now you know better and you do better. And so
Mm-hmm.
we all need to do that. Like, it's super important that we do that. And we need to understand that I don't care how great you think you is, if that person hasn't done the work, moving from one situation into the next, then you gonna be just like the last. Period. Point blank, period. Ain't nothing else to it. It's the truth. You need to accept it. Stop lying to yourself. Just be honest. And we absolutely positively have to tell ourselves the truth all the time, because if we're not being honest with ourselves, we're not being honest with that person.
And
Period.
that comes with also understanding and identifying your triggers. So not only do you need to know your non-negotiables, which we love to talk about here, Miss Sante, okay?
I be serious
But
about them non-negotiables.
you got to have them non-negotiables, but you also have to understand your own personal triggers, because if not, then you're bringing all of that all your past traumas and everything else into their relationships, whether you know it or they know it. They all up in through that relationship. Now he's saying something simple that, or she may be saying something simple that they don't even know is about to trigger you, and then you go off sideways. That's causing some old stuff to be present in your relationship. So that's why I'm saying actively working towards your healing before you get into a committed relationship. One, gives you time to learn yourself and heal, but also it gives you time to learn that person and see that true person. Because Sante say without their PR agent.
They PR. Look, y'all better know about the PR agent. The PR agent be strong in the beginning. Everybody comes with the PR agent, the best representation of themselves that that person is going to want. That's what your PR agent does. Like, you presenting all the great qualities about you and all of that stuff. I never gave Robert my PR agent. I was like, hey, look, straight up, these are my flaws. I was like, here, I'm gonna be honest. Like, this is me. You still interested? Okay, well, let's see where this thing go, man. Let's take this ride. But
But
I
I
think
think honestly, not saying that you shouldn't put best foot forward and all that other good stuff, because we should always try to be our best selves. But at the end of the day, like we gotta come correct with self and being honest for the other person. I show up to greeting number one, like, this what I'm looking for, this what I'm not, this what I'm doing. What are you doing? What, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm laying it on the table. We might not
I show up and
be
be like, well, I showed up because I've been kind of locked down for a long time. I showed up like,
passive.
hey, this is me. Are you interested? Because this is me. This is gonna continue to be me. This I'm working on, but this is me. And I'm just letting you know. So if it's too much, I don't know what to tell you. I show up. I wanted him
And
to
I think
know.
we don't show up that way because we are concerned how the other person is going to take it. Oh, will they like me? Will they not like me? But that's the point. Show
I
up
don't care.
authentically as yourself. So if they don't like you, then y'all ain't wasting no time. Move
Right.
on about
And that
your
was
day.
my whole thing. If you didn't, because
It's
especially
cool.
in the long run, if you can't love me when I'm ugly in the morning, or when I'm, struggling with anxiety, and you can't love me through that. If you can't love me through when the person I am when I'm grieving, if you can't deal with that, then
Because
why
it's for
do that?
better or for worse, for sickness or for health. And that's my thing too, because I'm like, listen, we dating till I'm married. So
Well, I'm out. So we dating, and that means I may be dating other people until.
basically, I'm saying, like, because the way that I see it now is that you have to, and people have a hard time with this. I think this is also a societal thing when it comes to the generational curses passed down, is that especially for women, not necessarily for men, but for women, it's seen poorly if you talking to more than one man. So that puts women in this box where they want to be committed and locked down to the first person they talk to because they don't want to be out here. They
You
don't want to be
know
a second
why? You
room.
know why it's a bad look? Because the assumption is that she's sleeping with all of them, which is terrible.
And that you don't have to be sleeping with anybody just because you're going on a date with them.
My
And even
point.
if you is, that's still your business.
It is, but my point is that that's the whole thing, and it's meant to shame women into
Submission,
the
basically.
and to the standard, to the misogynistic standard of this
But
is what
I
it means.
say claim yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit, and talk to whoever you want to talk to. And you don't have to get married to the first person that asks. And you don't have to, you can control your life. And so at this point, I'm like, I'm dating until I'm married because I'm dating until I find the right person, not the next person or the first person, till I find the person I'm meant to be with, or
I,
until he finds me. You know, and I think that's the thing, and that's why a lot of people end up in relationships where they are either unhappy and they stay, or they end up with the right person with all the red flags, and they feel like they can change that person because that was the next person that came along, or the
that's
person
an
that
impossible
they
job.
committed a certain amount of time with, or that person that they done been with for so long, and now they like, I can't leave because I'm invested here, and all them red flags keep popping up, and you still get treated like trash.
And do you know what's confuzzling as hell?
What's
Confuzzled.
confuzzling? So what is
So
confuzzling?
confuzzled is a word. It's confused and puzzling together.
No, I got that. I was saying,
Yeah.
what did you say?
So,
Confuzzling.
so what is very confuzzling to me is that half of us can't even change our children. Like I be trying to
Lord, these
mold
kids
and
come the
shape
way
these
they are.
kids, and I can't. Like, they
They
still them.
come the way they
Where
are.
the hell do we get off believing we're going to be able to change a whole adult? Like, where do we get that level of arrogance from? It's arrogance.
The wherewithal.
Just where?
The
Where
audacity to
does it come
believe.
from? I don't understand. And it's so troubling because we really put ourselves on the train tracks believing that we will. A person is who they are, and if they aren't, that person is because
I
they
just
choose not
saw
to
this
be.
visual, sis, of a person tied to the train tracks and the train is coming. And they tie themselves to the train track and they like, the train gonna stop. The train is gonna stop for me.
They gonna see
This
me.
train gonna see me. This train
See
gonna
me.
stop because I'm different.
Look, and that's really
And they
what
gonna
it's
get ran
like.
over by a train.
And that's literally what it is. And I just want us to stop. I'm not judging you. I'm
No
not
judgment.
I'm
We
not
not
looking
making it
down.
something
I'm not
else.
saying it in a condescending way. I'm tired. I'm tired of us putting our own selves in the line of fire because we really believe this lie. It's a big old giant lie, and it's not okay. And we need to start freeing ourselves from the lie because that person is who they is, and it's so easy. I had told Robert, I'm gonna say it on the air, so if somebody come up with it now, I could be like, oh, that's my idea. Now we have all of these dating shows. I told him once, I said, I want a dating show where people get to date the exes of people before they date the person. So they have to go out with the exes and talk to people's exes. Bless you, sis.
Thank
Because
you.
9 times out of 10, that person is painting the ex to be a way that isn't necessarily true. They're going to paint what happened in the last situation to benefit them in the best light. And
Now
we
there is a show. It's not the entire show, but I can't remember.
okay.
I think it's one of them Netflix joints. But there is a show where they put people in the house and they got to pick who they want to date or whatever. And I think it might have been Perfect Match. I don't remember which one.
Okay.
But a portion of the show they go through challenges where they get to know each other. And on one of the challenges, they do bring in their exes for the person for all the other people to talk to, right? And so that's a portion of it. So they get to
I
see.
need to find this show.
It's on Netflix. I believe
I'm gonna
if
look
I'm not
for it.
mistaken, it's Perfect Match. If it's not
Okay.
Perfect
I'm gonna
Match,
look for it.
it's if it's not Perfect Match, it's maybe it's the sexy island hot something where they put the sexy people together on the island and they can't have sex.
They put the sexy people on the island, but they can't have sex.
Yes, if y'all know what I'm talking about, it's on Netflix. If y'all know what I'm talking about, put it in the comments. But
So it's the
basically,
non-sexy sex island, the non-sexy
basically,
island.
they put these really hot people in a house together to tempt them. I think it's
Okay.
Temptation Island. I think is the name of it. But they basically supposed to match up and find somebody that they like genuinely without being physical,
I
because
love
all
the
of these
idea.
people in their regular lives haul off sleep with whoever they want, make out with whoever they want, blah blah blah. And so on this show, the point is for them to make genuine connections mentally and emotionally without having sex be a factor.
That
Um,
sounds dope
which is
because it
which is a
really
really good
does
concept.
cloud judgment. It does. It clouds. It makes things very cloudy. You'll start seeing stars and love in situations that ain't. It's just that he made you feel good for that time.
Because we also have to be real grown and understand that sex comes with soul ties. Can we
Mm.
can that be a show? Can we talk about that? Because I
You
feel like
damn straight it can. We gonna do that, sis. We gonna do that. Sex and soul ties because it's true. It's
people
true.
act like this ain't a thing, and we real grown and we gotta understand it. And if you don't know it's a thing, let us educate you in some
It's
form
a
of
real
fashion.
live thing. But I was bringing up the premise of the show for a reason, is because I think it's super important. Now there may be times that, because even with talking to the ex, you're going to get the ex perspective, but once you get both, you can kind of paint a bigger picture
And what
of
it
what
really
really
is.
happened. You're going to really have a better
Mhm.
understanding, because it's so easy to be swayed just from one person's point of view of why something ended or what happened. So I want to see it where you're having both perspectives and you're able to make a determination from both perspectives. And so I think that even in this situation of being the exception, I feel like a lot of times, and just getting that at one side of the story, it's so easy for you to be like, oh well, this person was hurt and they was mistreated, and I'm not gonna do that to them, so it's gonna go different. And they be lying. They be lying, lying, like they be leaving
That
out.
person was upstanding citizen out here in these streets.
They be leaving out portions because again, it's the PR agent. And I just
Well,
really,
some
really
of these
want
people, to be wholeheartedly honest, be
to look.
real delusional at end of relationships and be saying stuff that didn't even exist. Like, was what?
Didn't exist. They, and like maybe they had more than one relationship. I don't know, but
They wasn't in the same relationship or stop. Maybe the stories be conflicted.
all the time. But again, no matter what the story is, just know that you aren't the
You're
exception.
not the exception to the rule. You
You
are
just
not.
ain't, sis. And
Sis, bro, home skillet biscuit. You are not the exception to the
it's
rule.
just
Okay?
like if you
Not
trying to
serious.
build a house and the foundation has got a crack in it, everything you build on it is going to be at risk of collapse. It's not going to work because it's not the house. You can put extra reinforcements. You can use more steel. You can use all the things differently from the last person, you know,
It's
and
like
it's not
building a
going to
house
work.
on quicksand.
It's, it's not going to matter because the foundation is the problem. You are not the exception. If he's done it to one other woman, two. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, people
10.
grow up and change and they mature. Sure, that can very, very much happen.
Mhm.
But if he
Absolutely.
ain't matured by number four, number three,
It's about we ain't gonna get this no try. The odds are not in my favor.
I'm not going there. I'm
Mm-mm.
just not. And I just want us to make that decision, that agreement with ourselves, not to do that. That if I can look at his record and tell that he has been fired from every relationship he's had,
Somebody he been fired.
then maybe it's him and it is
Maybe it's
not
him.
the woman. It's not. It's not. And I just want us to understand that we're not saying you ain't worthy. We ain't saying that you ain't special. You is kind. You is smart. You is important. You are absolutely all of those things. But what you're not is the exception.
You ain't that different, sis.
No.
And that ain't saying nothing about you. Because
No,
it
it's
ain't got
not.
nothing to do with you.
Zero. It's him.
So wrong.
That is the right time when somebody be like, "It's not you, it's me." Like, yes, it is. It's really him. It's really not.
Absolutely. And then
It's
people be like,
really
if you giving me that line, you better listen.
him.
You better listen.
Period.
But I'm reading these comments and I'm looking at this side conversation that's happening
I
here in
I,
the
I was trying to
chat.
go because I think I missed something. So let me go back. I feel like I done missed something in the
We talking
comments.
about mommy and daddy issues and the roles
I
that it plays.
see.
But see, this is I think it goes back to the parenting and society perpetuating the foolishness. So for women to behave this way and to behave this way. As far as women having daddy issues, absolutely a lot of women got daddy issues. I am one of them. Sante, I do believe that you are another. I don't.
I have more mom issues than I have daddy issues.
You and your daddy cool?
So I don't have a relationship with my biological father, but I'm okay with the fact that I don't. I was raised by my father from very small, and then I've had a lot of other male presence in my life. I had an abundance, probably way more than the average person, of male love, acceptance, guidance. Like I was really very, very fortunate. I grew up with so many men present in my life. So I had my father, and then I had my older brother, who I also say when I got married, he had to give me away with my parents. So the three of them gave me away to Robert. And when Robert asked, before he asked me to marry him, he got approval from both my father and my brothers, including my brothers from other mothers, because he knew
I
that
was
that
like,
was
you said brothers.
because my brother's friends are my brothers too. My brother has a circle of friends that I've been knowing since I was like my son's age. I was very small. And so I get emotional because I love these men so much and they know it. Shout out to my brothers Serge, Gary, Reed, Cordell, like all of y'all. Y'all know. Oh, it's a ton of them because they were shine. These were my brothers from other mothers, but they are my brother's closest circle. So even down to the fact of when he was away at college, all the way in Florida, these gentlemen stepped up to kind of step in, for protection, make sure that I was taken care of, didn't need anything, while he wasn't able to be on his watch because he was far away. And without them, I don't know where or how I'd have got through those 4 years of my brother being 1,000 miles away, because me and my brother are very, very close. So we're very tight knit. So his departure to college was the first 3 weeks. I cried literally every single day because we had been inseparable. Like everything I did it with my older brother. So I was the sister that tagged along to everything, but it was cool because I wasn't annoying. So I was able to come along for the ride.
You
So
claiming that part, is that what he said?
but it's the truth. If you ask any of them, you saw like Siobhan, who's on here now, she'll tell you. Me and my older brother Steph.
How old were you when he went away to college?
I was a freshman in high school. We're 4 years apart. It's weird because we are the exact same amount of time apart as my two children are apart and his two children are apart. It's the same thing. And I'm like, I don't know how we managed to have that happen, but I was going into high school and he went into college, and then he went to UNF. That is the longest, the furthest we had ever been away from each other. Like we did everything. And so it was super hard when he went away to school. Like I cried every day at school. People were like, "This freshman is crazy. What is wrong with him?" But
that probably wasn't the best looks.
I missed my brother. I couldn't wait for him to call when, before we had cell phones and stuff, we had calling cards. At this point, I'm telling my age, we had calling cards for long distance. I would have to wait for him to call, and then he made sure he called at least 2 to 3 times a week. He would talk to my mama, but he made sure that he talked to me, like we had that time. And so I just remember him finally coming home for, I think it was Thanksgiving, and we pulled up to the we had pulled up to the airport, and I couldn't even, my parents didn't even stop the car before I had hopped out and ran to find my brother. I was just that happy
He
that
get this
he was
support somewhere.
so because of that, and because of his brothers from other mothers, they are my brothers too. And so they stepped in and took watch when he was away. So I mean, down to, hey, we gonna go out and hang out and do some window. Like, I got so many brothers from my brother. It's not even funny. So I grew up with a abundance amount of love. My cousin, that we were 8 months apart. He's passed, but we were very close, very close. And all my big moments in life happened with him, and he was very protective. We was 8 months apart, but I was still his little cousin, and he was very protective of me all the time. So I grew up with a lot of protection. Uncles, just, I mean, I can't even begin to express. So for that reason, I don't know where I would be without having that type of love and protection. I more than likely would have daddy issues, but I think things were harder with my mother daughter relationship than with my daddy issues. Like, I mean, you have issues
I
with your
think people may coin it daddy issues just if they weren't there and you don't have like a close relationship with your father. Depending on the person, I think
Here's
some
the
people just
thing. It's a
define
lot
that.
of people's daddies that was in the house and still wasn't present. So they
Come
have
on,
daddy issues
speak
too.
on it. Speak on it.
So it's not just about physical absenteeism. There's a lot of dads that be all in the house, come home every single day, but don't come home. They don't
And the
be.
thing is, too, with that part is that society, media, mainstream media makes that a normal thing. Like, if you look at darn near every movie there were back in the day, TV shows, cartoons, you just got the daddy sitting in the chair watching TV, go ask your mama. Like, not present. Like, now it's shifting a whole lot more where you see a lot of fathers really being present, really being there. But like back in the day, that was every dad in every show. They were not, they were there, like you
But
saw
they
them in
weren't there.
passing, but they were not present at all. And I think that goes back to the normalcy of gender norms that society puts into place. The mother has to be active with the kids, and the father can just kind of be there type situation. And women have to allow these things and stay in these situations and think this is life. I
And
think
so
it
that
ties
that
back to
is a
that.
big issue too when it comes to mommy issues, daddy issues, period, and the reflection that our daughters grow up to have of themselves, which also can be tied to you're not the exception. I feel like sometimes if we think we're falling in alignment with what we saw our mothers do, that means that we're as good as them, especially if our mothers did have husbands, etc. When really a lot of our moms were suffering in silence. A lot of our grandmothers were suffering in silence. They were not happy, they were not okay. And I really need us to just really unlearn some stuff. Really, what it comes down to is seeing deeply how if we had certain things back then and we're where we are today, then something was wrong. It wasn't all good then either. Because we are products of the last generation and it just continues. So if something was broken before we got to this point, and we need to figure out what it was that was broken, the generational trauma, the generational curses, and repair it. And I feel like this is one of them, just being told that you're going to be the exception because you are this type of woman, or I raised you right. I've literally heard people say, well, I've been raised right, and so I'm going to be the exception.
So you saying Shorty wasn't raised right? Like, I just want to say shout out real quick to my mom. and my grandma, okay,
Gone.
because like the ancestral line of women, like in my family, because like here talking to my grandmother and hearing her stories and then like hearing other people recount her stories, I'm like, and just knowing her, she was a super strong woman and she wasn't for none. And so she was in abusive and bad relationships and she got out the gym and she left them with some knots too. But she got out the gym and she's like, I'm not gonna be the exception to the rule. I'm getting out of here. And then even like my mom and her story with my dad, like she got out the jam because she's like, you're not gonna change for me. You're not even gonna change for your children. I'm gonna have to go. And being, coming from those women that like, nah, I'm not even gonna try to change you. You know what I'm saying? This ain't working. You're not gonna make the moves you need to make. I gotta go for me and Maz. And that energy in the ancestral line and the current line. I just want to say thank you for that because I feel that energy because I ain't for nothing.
And I am glad that you have it. I also think that too at times we have to be careful too, because what that does also teach us is that we don't need each other. So I think that that was what was an issue for me. I want us all to find balance. But to your point of your mom and your grandma knowing and recognizing that they didn't have the power to change somebody and that he wasn't trying to make that decision for the betterment of himself or even his children, and that their course has, their relationship had run its course. I think that is extremely courageous. I think that is extremely um wise, and I love the fact that it was known that they weren't the exception.
They were not. They were like, no, no, I'm
That
not the
they
exception to this rule. I shall leave.
So we need to have that same sort of honesty with ourselves, because something that's always been important for me is that it's okay if you're not the exception. I think this is to the point that you were trying to make about the self love. Because if you understand that it doesn't have a connection to you and that it has a connection to someone else and that person and whatever's going on with them, then it's not going to feel painful when you recognize that this ain't it. Because you're going to know it didn't have anything to do with you, it's that person. And so when we are comfortable and
Or
understand.
making that note to say it does have something to do with me because I deserve better than this. So
But
I got
even
to
knowing
go.
that you deserve better, what my point is not to take away from that or negate that. I'm saying that there's a certain love, self-love, and understanding that you're not going to change that person, and it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do about what you deserve. Of course, you deserve better if someone's mistreating you. But when you're able to see and recognize that this is who this person is, I'm not going to be the change. I'm not going to be the factor if they decide to be anything or anyone differently, is an act of self love. It really
Mhm.
is, because you're understanding, like, I know it ain't me. I acknowledge that it's you, and I love me enough to recognize I ain't that powerful and not to hurt myself trying. And I feel
Right.
like we need to give ourselves that level of permission to just be like, this ain't my bag.
Not my bag.
This ain't my bag to
Not my
carry.
bag.
Have these issues, like, fix those issues yourself. And then once that person's changed, and this goes back to mentioning, well, people grow up, people change, they do, but you're going to see the change even before you get in it. If you're still seeing that the only thing that changed was the person that they doing it to, that person ain't changed. But if you're seeing that person recognize and take accountability for their faults, they're doing and shifting their actions, they have also changed their mindset. People do change and grow up. I am not the same person at 25 plus rush delivery
Not
as
rush
I was at
delivery.
real 25. Not the
Not
same.
rush delivery,
Rush
sis.
delivery, not because rush delivery usually take like cost about $15. Sometimes it depends. It costs around $13 to $15. So I'm saying depending on who you getting the rush delivery from. Yeah. So 25 plus rush delivery.
Okay.
I'm different from the 25 without rush delivery. So we do change, but we don't change for someone. We change for ourselves.
And then also, it's like you said earlier, it's those seeds.
Gotta have
Like
seeds.
even 25 minus rush delivery, Sante was even with your current husband wise enough to say, I don't want to put you through this. I'm not in that space right now to be who you need me to be. You know?
Well, 25, by that 25, dude had already locked me down by that
Talking
point.
about that 25.
And by that 25, I was already on ball
Clank,
and chain.
clank.
I was clanked already. We had the first baby by 25, and I was sold. He had me. But when he met me at 20, I was still trying to figure out who I was outside of this relationship that, wasn't the best for either of us. And we were trying, you think you in love when you're young, you don't know no better. You don't be in love. Y'all don't be in love. I used to get real in my feelings when I used to hear, girl, you ain't in love. Like, how you gonna tell me? I'm in love.
My heart.
This is gonna be forever. I mean,
all of them. It's forever.
Now, if Doc with the DeLorean showed up and I can go back in time, I'ma hop out, slap myself, and be like, girl, shut up. Okay? Chin check. Don't say that dumb stuff no more. You're not. Okay? I gotta go. But stop it. Stop making a fool.
But stop it.
Just stop the madness.
Just wait on right. Just wait.
Just leave. Just leave it alone. But I met him at an age where I was still young. Like we kind of grew up together. We still kind of had a lot of growing to do. We did a lot of growing, and we did it while trying to grow other people, which is the hardest freaking thing to do, y'all. I just, hardest thing to do is that is some ish, okay? Trying to do that. But even in that, I am nowhere. I'm still the core of me has some of those same principles, those same values, those same ideas, but I'm very different from that person to this person today. And so you do have the power to change. You do have the space to change. But let me tell you though, if there's 5 of them that he's done this to,
don't be number 6.
Back to back to back to back to back, and he hasn't like deviated at all from any of his actions. You ain't the exception.
And then also, real quick on that point, right? On that point, when people are constantly getting into committed relationships without taking a moment in between to take a breath and reflect on a past relationship, and then they hop into a new one, that should be a red flag for you. If you're that person, you should be a red flag for you. Like,
question: have you read Will's book?
No, I have not.
Okay, for those of you that have not picked up Will Smith's book, pick it up. I got this book on
it up, so I know it's gonna be a good read.
Oh, and I did the audiobook version, and I actually am more pleased that I did the audiobook version because there's music. It's just
He did it himself, right?
Yeah, so it's his voice, so he's speaking, he's reading the book, and it was like he might as well have been sitting in the living room having a conversation with me, telling me like this was an amazing, amazing book. Robert is also listening to it. I finished it this morning. I downloaded it the day it opened, and I've been playing it nonstop when I've gotten time since then. So it's about.
I'm seriously like, didn't that just come out?
Because the book is about almost 20 hours long. So that goes to show about how, girl, I was in the shower listening to this book. It is a wonderful, wonderful book. and lots of food for thought. There's so much stuff in there that kind of resonated with me and hit home. But anyway, for those of you that haven't read it, I don't want to spoil too much of it. But one of the things that he talks about is his habitual relationship jumping, like where he says that from the time he was like a teenager to now in his life, he's only been single 12 days out of that whole time. And I thought this was mind
Wait, hold on. You say from a teenager, you
to
say
now.
from a teenager to real grown, somebody darn near granddaddy Will Smith right now.
Yeah. That he's only been single
12
days for 12 days throughout that whole time. He's only not been in a relationship with someone throughout that out decades practically. For
No,
12 days.
practically. That's dead ass decades.
And I was like, what? And he talks about how that plays a role in some of the struggles he's had with relationships and just everything. I mean, when I tell you that I always had, kind of a love and respect for Will Smith. Like, one of the things that I listened to a lot as a kid was Parents That Just Don't Understand. And we all loved the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Like, the kids love the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Like, they watch it. Me and Robert watch the Fresh Prince every single morning. Okay, well, we're getting ready. So this is how much we appreciate Will. So I love me some Will Smith. But this book made me have a greater appreciation for his journey and his transparency. I'm big on transparency. I love when people are willing to say, I'm human and here's the proof. I think sometimes we get so caught up in the image and how we want to be perceived and looked at that we forget to allow ourselves to have our imperfections, which can be beautiful. And so I love that he is highlighting a lot. He's putting his imperfections out there. He gets really gritty with it and lays it out there. And when I say that I felt inspired, I felt a deep appreciation for the things that I can connect to. Like, this is a phenomenal book. So if you haven't picked it up, get it. I would recommend the audiobook, which is weird for me because I love books. I love books. Like, for real. I have an issue with books. Like, I love books. I'm just now really starting to break ground on my audiobook membership. But I wanted to, out of curiosity, I was like, if I go to this bookstore, I'm gonna wind up spending way more money because I love books and I'm no Robert sick of me buying books. Let me download the audiobook. And plus I didn't feel like going outside and I can get it right now. So I downloaded the book and I downloaded it on opening when he released the book, and I am done, which goes to show how much it is an amazing book. But he brought up that point of not being single throughout decades for no more than 12 days. He's only been single for 12 days throughout that whole time because he has
from the time of being a teenager all the way up to what, damn near 50. How old is he?
Oh, he's over 50. He's over 50. I think he's like 55. Let me check. Let me go.
Damn near pushing on 60 years old.
Yeah.
So from point A to point B, do you know how many life changes and mind states that man has went through from the age of
he talks about all of that in the book, which is why you got to
50 something. And like, when do you get a chance to sit with self and like really?
He is 53. He is 53. And he is 53. He is saying from his high school relationship when he was a teenager, he has not been single for more than 12 days.
That's baffling. That is crazy. But I know that he is probably not the only one. I'm telling you, like, people hop in and out of relationships. And listen, I'm not judging y'all. I'm not judging nobody
at all.
Because I, too, was a serial monogamous. Okay?
It's a real thing. It's a real thing.
But there is just something to be said about sitting with yourself in your own space, keeping your own self company, understanding and thinking through who you are and what you want to be and working towards goals, and really outside of just getting to know you and healing. Also getting to know other people, multiple people, types of people, kinds of people, traits of people, like in that process also helps you to determine what you want, what you don't want, what you need, what you don't need, and where you want to go. And so if we don't have that experience and that exposure to different kinds of people, different kind of dates, different type of situations and environments, and dating people, more than one person, then we never truly know the range, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It does. I think it's important because in dating you get to learn what your negotiables versus your non-negotiables are. So you get
Mhm.
to kind of get a better sense of self, because that's pretty much what our negotiables and non-negotiables are built upon, is yourself, what works for you, what things help you show up as the best version of you in a relationship, because that's really what you have the control over. But what that person and how that person shows up affects how you show up. We all know that too, because we'll be quick to be like, I'm gonna meet you with that same energy, right? So you need to know what that energy looks like or doesn't look like in order for you to be your best version of yourself. But yes, I think I get exactly what you're saying about really taking your time and dating. And I feel like there's this rush that, because we have a very basic mentality when it comes to what is the best or optimum type of man or woman, right? And they're very basic. So,
And we just don't want to be alone.
and yes, but I think that when we have this checklist of like the basic values and people start checking that off and be like, oh, well, this is a good man, we'd be like, no, a monkey could have a job in a factory. Like, that's not, that because he has a job, okay, but that
Yeah,
doesn't
those
mean
lists
he's
don't
wrong.
be emotionally involved enough. It's
Right, and
like
I think we stick
car,
into that.
job, a place to
Exactly.
live.
And we do
Like,
it
all right,
both
but how do he
ways,
treat
so
you? What
both
does he
people can
want
do
in
it.
life?
How does he handle conflict? What, how does he, approach goals? Like, those are things that we don't put on the checklist, but it'd be like, he has a car, he has a job, he has either no kids or he's in good standing with his kids. We be checking off these little things, and then we'd be like, oh man, I got a winner. And it'd be like, no, no, you
And
don't.
see, that's what I mean too about dating until you're married and not hopping into committed relationships. Because at like week one, week two, maybe month one, month two, it may be good. You're like, oh, he got a job or she got a job. She ain't cussed me out yet. Because some people's standards be real low like that. You know what I'm saying? It's looking good. I think I want her forever. I think I want her forever. And then you get into that, and then you start seeing stuff down the lines. But now you didn't probably get physically involved, and we talking about spiritual ties. That's gonna be a later show. And then outside of getting spiritually involved, you time connected, because now I didn't been with you this long ago. I didn't committed to you, so now it's we done already put pictures on Facebook, so I don't want to take them down right away because we done already said we official and how people gonna look at us being together for 2 months. You know what I'm saying? It's all these other factors that's superficial that come into play instead of really just getting to know that person honestly and wholeheartedly without any agendas or anything else, and saying, is this a good match or not? And if it's not, cool, no hard feelings. And if it is, then talk about moving further down the line. But we don't have to rush these things. We do ourselves a disservice when we hop into things that quickly. And granted, some people like, I knew right away we got married. We've been married 30 years. Cool. You know,
That's a very rare occasion. They might
live
as
your best
well
life.
hit the Mega Millions, because that doesn't happen as much as I think people believe it does. And if it does, I'll say this: people rush into those situations a lot more than we understand. Their success isn't measured by that. So just because people are doing it doesn't mean that they were successful and they have successful relationships. That just means that they got into a marriage quickly and they decided to jump the broom very quickly.
Long marriages also don't mean that.
Oh God, that's gonna be a show topic because I really do feel like that's a generational curse in itself because it gives us this idea that, oh yeah, marriage didn't mean the same as it used to, or people had less options, so they stayed in very unhealthy situations because there wasn't anything else that they could do. So just because we have some relationships where people are lasting that long doesn't mean that it was healthy or that they even liked each other. Like, well, I think we had mentioned it at one point.
For
Like
real.
most people, grandparents don't even sleep in the same room. It be like they don't even
Don't
in
even
the
like each
same
other.
bed. So it's like, okay, they were in an agreement. That was a contract. It wasn't a marriage. It wasn't a
I knew
commitment.
someone like he came with that. I'm not the exception to the rule energy too, but they were married for decades. Was in they like 80s, I think, like 70s, 80s, like 70, 80 some years old. And he left the house and went and got a condo and was like, I'm
I'm not
gone.
the exception.
He was like,
it's
I am not
not just
the exception to
it's
it.
not just the sis thing. Some of our bros be doing the same thing now. Some it's not just the woman thing that we think we're the exception. It can happen from anybody. And we need to be very like mindful of that. And like, I don't know, do you watch Married at First Sight? Okay, did you see this last season? Honey, this
I'm telling
child,
people.
Michaela and
Repeat.
Zach, this Michaela baby.
Is that, tell me, explain. Which one was that? Was it the
That,
black couple?
yeah,
Was
with
it the
the
one who
young.
left like day one because he went to walk the dog or something?
No, I don't think that was. I don't know if you in the current season. It sounds like no. The
The
current
current season,
is
they're
Houston.
right.
So
Yeah,
I'm
that one.
talking about the couple, Michaela and Zach, the young lady that was having these outbursts, these violent at times outbursts of knocking things over, pushing things and yelling and getting very aggressive to a point where producers and stuff would have to intervene and calm her down. And he decided that he wanted to try he
This
wanted
is
to
the black
divorce.
couple.
Yeah,
Was it? This is the one, the darker skinned tall guy, right?
with the curly kind of hair, with the bob
Mm-hmm. Like kind of,
curly hair.
yeah, the high top joint.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought you was talking about. Okay.
And have you finished the season?
I haven't seen the whole thing. I've just been seeing like bits and pieces and like
Okay, so then you
both
gotta
of them
watch the
talking
whole
about.
season
But
because
I know she was crazy from the first clip I saw. And
you
then
know
I saw
she
another one and I was like, she's continuously to be crazy. And I'm like, sis, what's going on? And I
she's in
got
a
a little
trauma
upset
state.
because the produce, not the producer, the pastor, the black pastor guy, counselor, he was like giving her an out. And he was basically like when they had, I think, their first session when he get after they started living together. Cause she whole left the house. And the day before they had talked about what we would do if we get a conflict into a conflict or whatever. And he was like, I'm looking forward to see how we handle it. He left to walk the dog or something and didn't come back quick enough or something. And she whole left, got mad, one time. And so the pastor guy talked to her. He's like, but you know something happened to her father. I think he passed away or something.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, why she's behaving this way. And I'm like, what?
So here's the thing. Does she have grief? Sure, but then this is not the time for her to be entering into something of this nature, and that was
And
unfair.
wasn't it years ago that her father passed away? I don't think it was
I
recent.
don't think it was. I think it was like within the year. I don't think it was that
I
far.
don't think it was within a
I'm
year.
pretty sure it wasn't too far out. She does, and she clearly talks about her abandonment issues. She absolutely does have them. But I also feel like that's not fair to expect for someone to sit in
Come
that,
heal
especially
you.
coming right in. So this was a new, it wasn't like they were together and already had a foundation. And
Right.
regardless, at no point were her actions and her reactions acceptable.
Justified.
They were not acceptable, and they needed to hold her accountable for that. And they were getting on him at decision day because he said that he wanted a divorce, but
And
he
he
did
should
want to,
have.
he said he wanted a divorce, but that he wanted to see later down the line or to communicate still and see if they can maybe rekindle something or have a better relationship. But
I
right
don't see a
now he
problem
wants
with
to get a
that.
divorce. But they hung him out to dry, girl. They tried to make this young man out to be a villain, and he was so
I
upset.
don't think he did
Here's
anything from I know I ain't see on
what he
every
was
episode.
trying to say. He was trying to say without saying it in that way, because I think they had private conversations, and I think the consensus was that she needed to seek some therapeutic services and
Which
she needed
she
to
which
work
she
on self.
did.
And his whole thing was saying, I can't stay married to you like you are. But if I start to see you, because I see other great qualities in you. So if this is was getting in the way of you being able to do that, then I want to give you the space to work on yourself. And then we see if we can make it work once you're getting in that healing space. Because I would like to try.
I agree with that. That's what we're
That's
advocating right now.
That is what he was trying to say. And I didn't like how the experts made it out to seem. And then she fell right into alignment. She was in agreement with it at first. But then when she got in front of them, she's like, well, he said all these wonderful things that he didn't want to stay married. He was right. Because if he wanted to be able to make a clean break, because if you don't do your part to get better and healthier,
Yeah,
then
I'm
I
not
wouldn't
gonna
want to
attach
stand
to
there
you
either.
forever.
And he did the right thing. He needed you to be, y'all to be broken up, but still maybe date. And I think that's just counter, productive. If we're married, to go back to dating, you obviously need that. You need that time.
Because you
And I
wasn't
was
ready in the
so
first place. You shouldn't
he
have
wasn't
signed up for the
ready,
show.
and I was so disappointed, and I'm so disgusted with the show because this is like again, they keep setting up and putting, because last year it was Paige and
Oh my God. Last year I was like, what are y'all doing?
I can't even remember the other guy's
Yes,
name.
listen. Oh, we gonna talk family. If y'all have ever seen Married at First Sight,
Interesting show.
interesting show. But sometimes it worked. Like I love the season before that, last season. With the couple from New Orleans. It was two like, oh my gosh, the friends. I
I
love them.
didn't like, and I still be giving Karen the side eye. Robert be like, she's trying to change. I was
No,
like,
I
look,
don't like her. You talking about the lighter skin one? Who was
yeah, it was mad because he was emotionally intelligent.
I could not stand her. I still can't stand her to this day because I
I
was like, they could have seen him right on over here, honey, and he would have been
almost threw
loved
my
on.
glasses. I almost threw my glasses because I kid you not. Robert be like, you so mean. I said, no.
No,
Oh,
she was
girl.
mean. He would try to snuggle up with her. She'd get up and walk away.
Oh, she trying to do better now. So he's like, look, she's
That
learning.
no, she tried to do better now because she see that everybody else want him. Because everybody was coming for her head during the show. Everybody was sliding in his DMs, and she got
I
mad.
was
And now she
upset.
see she got to ask that.
I was upset when she got mad and said, I just don't like the fact, and I don't date men that can express or in tune with their emotions. I was like, that's the
The
problem,
trauma
honey.
just oozed up
That's
out
what
of her.
it was, bubbled up from her guts. I'm trying to tell you. But
I
if
wanted to
you
touch
don't
on
watch
this every
Married at
episode.
First Sight,
Every episode.
give it a watch, a look see. Very interesting show. But this last season with the couple and the young lady that had the emotional
And
outburst.
yes, Gino, he could have walked my way. Okay. That young man was fine and he understood his emotions and was, I mean, he was cooking dinner and cleaning up and talking about feelings and being amazing. Yes, he could have walked this way, Gino. Now, I think this is the thing, y'all. When like referencing shows, especially reality shows, because we didn't reference like three, I think, on this one show alone. I think it's really, especially dating shows, it's really important that we monitor actual people's behavior. Now, granted, reality shows tilt things and they got storylines and they trying to sell ratings. But for the most part, these be real life people in real life situations showing their trauma. And we have to look at those traumas to see what falls within us, to be 100% honest.
And we need to look at those traumas and realize that we ain't the exception.
And we are not the exception. I can't change you. I can't change you. Like he couldn't change her and make him love her. Make her love him. And give him a hug. That man just wanted a hug. She wouldn't kiss that man. She wouldn't nothing. Hold his hand.
Sis, I felt some sort of way, but I can literally feel your hurt and your pain.
You hear me? I am upset.
I hear it.
That man was amazing. And she was, I still catch you on the street. You hear me talk to you? But listen.
We do not condone violence. The views that Miss Natalie B just shared are not the views of the show. We would like to make that disclaimer. At no point do we at all condone violence.
Understand the assignment, Gina.
We do not condone a violence.
We don't condone violence, and apparently they happy now. She didn't got her life together. But
it seems that way. I still don't like her. I got my 4 eyes on her.
I got a couple of them on Instagram, and I be checking in from time to time because I don't
be checking in.
I be checking in just in case he becomes single.
She rubbed it in me the wrong way. I did not. Robert.
Try and wear Robert. Robert. You know me and you get along, but I ain't Robert.
Robert.
I ain't with this one, Robert. No, but in honesty, watching these shows, it shows you red flags. And a lot of times you can see them in other people where you can't see them in yourself or in your circle or people in your life. And so if you start to see similarities in people that you can't stand in the TV show,
Robert,
and it comes up in real life, then you see that.
Robert gonna be in trouble. He don't hush up.
She loves him. Where, Robert?
Hey, how's the show going?
How's the show going?
Hey, Dion. Hey, y'all, we get a treat.
Special guest appearance. I'm gonna just take the camera. Hi.
Hey, Dion.
Are we gonna talk about it?
We gonna talk about it.
See, I'm jealous because y'all over there bubbly, feeling warm and fuzzy on a cool evening. I needed to be where y'all is at. Y'all
right. This should be an in-person affair.
Come to the studio.
Look,
hey, that's my uncle, y'all.
Yes, we kick with daily.
I see. He said, "Hey, Neezy Poo." Hey, Unky Unk.
We stole him. You can't have him no more.
He
about to end the show, y'all.
She was like,
we about to end the show, y'all.
He all our uncle now. You guys to share. Renee is my auntie.
He's the only gonna talk about.
Renee is the TT of
Auntie TT.
Yep.
Auntie TT.
She Auntie TT.
She's the official auntie.
She's the official.
I'm trying to tell you. I've been saying more
in t-shirts already.
I'm telling you, the pandemic may have turned some things upside down, but it surely put you in alignment with some good folks. And
I'm trying to tell you, we in alignment with
the Milton, including Miss Dion Victoria. I need my Dion Victoria original. I'm worried.
Art Gala, December 11th.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
I want to send a very, very special early shout out to two of our favorite guests, the Miltons, Mr. Gino and Mrs. Renee. On their anniversary tomorrow. It's so funny. They share the same. They have the same anniversary as my parents. My parents' anniversary is tomorrow as well, too.
And
on the 18th.
Our creativity.
That's what it is.
So y'all gonna get real creative this year.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna have to, because my number is 333. And I see this number every single day. So we're gonna have to talk about this number.
Mm-hmm. Y'all better look at the numerology.
Anniversary to the Miltons. You are truly an inspiration. And we are super excited about y'all. 33 years. Yes, and see, these ain't the 33 years that we was talking about a minute ago.
No, it's not.
These real 33 years of happiness and love. Okay.
And they are coaches. So if y'all need some assistance to spot them red flags or to work something through, go on and talk to Miss Gina, Mr. Gino, and Miss Renee. They're gonna get y'all right together. If y'all need some extra love and care, Miss Renee doing the hypnotherapy, okay?
Yes. Absolutely. What's this? I just realized it's almost 10 o'clock. And it's time because we done got to talking about shows and whatnot.
But it all relates back to the topic at hand.
It does. I was just going to ask you though for your closing remarks so we can let these people go to bed on this Wednesday. Let me hear it.
Closing remarks. As I stated to start, love yourself enough to get out the gym, okay? What society, what your mama, what yourself is saying, none of that matters, okay? You cannot be the right person for the wrong person. Remove ego, remove all of that out the way, and learn yourself. Love yourself and learn yourself. Create those non-negotiables. Don't hop into a relationship until you fully understand what you're getting into. That way, when the red flags come, you can just make your exit left. You ain't got to worry about how you getting in or out of something. But honestly, at the end of the day, we have to love ourselves and understand that we cannot change nobody. The only thing we can change is our actions and ourselves. That's all I got. Love yourself and do better. We gotta all actively work towards our healing. And if the person that you are with is not treating you the way that you want to be treated and has a track record of not treating people the way they deserve to be treated, then you should not be in that space. He or she, whomever they are, you need to get up out that jam. Or don't go get in to begin with.
Facts. My closing thoughts are simple. You is kind, you is smart, you is important, but you is not the exception. You are all things except the exception. You are beautiful, you are worthy, you are loved, but you are not the exception. That's it. You're just not the exception. And it's okay that you're not the exception because you don't want to be in that jam anyway. As Natalie B says, it ain't your bag.
That ain't your bag. Get up out the jam.
Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go.
She done broke out the Frozen.
I had to. Let it go.
You are magical, but you is not the exception.
But you are not the exception.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Love y'all.
Thank y'all.
Do better. Do better. Love yourself.
Love yourself.
And everybody else around you. Even and accept people when they show you and tell you who they are. Don't try to make them what you want them to be.
Ain't that what Auntie Maya always said?
When someone shows you who they are or tell you who they are, believe them the first time. And don't get in that jam to start with.
You is not the exception.
You is not.
No judgment.
No judgment.
You is not the exception. But we're going to get out of here because it's Wednesday and it's tired. I don't feel smart at this point because I just gave everything and I want to go to bed. So.
Gino gave his closing remarks.
Gino's closing remarks are cut them straws. They're sucking the life out of your joy. All facts. Fact. Facts. Let's put this across screen because it is true. It is all true. All right, y'all. Y'all stay healthy. Until next week. Same bad time. Same Facebook channel. See y'all. Good night.